Hello, I'm Adam Paul Morgan. Thank you for clicking on to what is a look at and review of the Blu-ray disc Suicide Squad, the extended edition. So what do you get with it? Well, you get a very colourful sleeve, and you open it up and you get the Blu-ray disc. And this particular Blu-ray disc, the one in the UK, does actually come with a digital download, so you could watch it as and where you go. This is the extended edition, but it does come with the theatrical version and the extended edition, which is an absolute whopping 11 minutes longer. Now, back in the day when you think of the Star Wars special editions, there was only 4 minutes, 5 minutes added to each film, so 11 minutes, it might not exactly be Return of the King extended edition wise, but you do get the extra 11 minutes. Now, I only watched the extended edition, and prior to actually getting my hands on this Blu-ray, which doesn't come out in the UK until tomorrow, today being Sunday, comes out on the 5th of December, this particular film I hadn't seen up until watching this. But before I talk about the film, I'm just going to go through the special features that you do get with the actual Blu-ray. On this particular thing I've written down here, you get a feature called, excuse me, my voice is on the way out, but you do get a special feature called Task Force X, One Team, One Mission, which basically looks back at the comics of Suicide Squad. It looked quite interesting, particularly if you didn't know about the origins of the Suicide Squad comic books. It does go back through them, and it just goes through all the various characters and where they come from. I didn't even know Captain Boomerang originated from the Flash comics. Now, if you've seen, particularly, I think it's the extended edition of this, a certain Mr. Flashy Washy does turn up. I'm not sure if he does in the theatrical version, because I have not seen the theatrical version. But okay, but it just goes through the characters one by one. And now, if you, like me, you watch the film before you watch the special features, it's sort of repeating of what you've just seen. Great. The next one, Chasing the Reel. This was a feature where you got they got the director and you got everyone talking about how they tried to make the film as real as possible, which I thought, okay, fair enough, because practical effects are still better than CGI effects until it gets to the end of the film, which was just one complete CGI mess, and various sort of things throughout the film. It used CGI. My wife was watching this with me when I was watching it as a Saturday night film. It was really, I thought the special effects were worse than The Mummy Returns, and The Mummy Returns special effects, CGI and all that, were terrible. Even today they're terrible. Now you look at Jurassic Park, the effects still stand out today. Why can't they just do a good job with the CGI? And there's many features on the Blu-ray which talk about, you know, say the Joker and Harley, but basically they're just showing features talking about what we've just seen, which may be interesting. But going through the special features here, there's a gag reel, which is somewhat interesting, that will probably end up on YouTube, so it's probably not even worth it. Chasing the Reel, which we've talked about here. And the one thing that was good about this film that got everyone hyped was particularly the trailers. They were good trailers, yet they're not included on this disc, maybe to make you watch them on YouTube to get their view count up, maybe. Now, going on to the film itself. I hadn't seen the film prior to last night on Saturday. As I said, it doesn't come out until the general public until tomorrow, but I was lucky enough to get my hands on it 2 days earlier. Well, where do we start? Okay. Very interesting thing, because a lot of people said it wasn't that particularly too good. I can sort of agree with that, to be honest. I didn't really enjoy this film as much as I was hoping to enjoy the film. Alright, the one thing I've got to say about particularly the extended edition, the one thing I did like the most was the soundtrack. You got the Animals, you got the Stones, you got Eminem, and so on, and so on, and so on. It's probably worth looking at the soundtrack, and this is probably one of those cases where the soundtrack to the film, with all these songs, is actually better than the film itself. It's probably worth looking up the soundtrack and seeing if all these songs on, and it could be up there with Guardians of the Galaxy, it could be up there with the Forrest Gump soundtrack, etc, etc. Good Morning Vietnam soundtrack, brilliant soundtracks, well worth getting. The second part about the film was, of course, the hot pants. Now, when I say that, I mean Harley Quinn. She was walking around in hot pants. But to be honest, Harley Quinn in this film, portrayed brilliantly, very much reminded me of the Batman animated cartoon where obviously Harley Quinn originated from. But it's done a fantastic job. It reminded me of the Harley Quinn that was in the Arkham games. Really good job, and I think it was well worth done. But lower down on the hot pants next time. More of a clown outfit, because the wife was watching. Okay, and if you go to any Comic Con, a good friend of mine who went to a Comic Con recently just said it was loads of Harley Quinn dressed up in hot pants. It's November, it's a bit cold. You got to think about that. Now, the third good thing about the film that I thought was Enchantress. What an absolute villain in a terrible film. Brilliant villain, terrible film. But moving on to, obviously, the big talking point of what is Suicide Squad, and that is Jared Leto's Joker. Now, a lot of people said it was the worst Joker ever. I don't think it was the worst Joker ever. I don't think it was the best Joker ever. Obviously, it was hardly in the film, and okay, of course, the ending as well as the film. I think it just needs more time. I think he needs more screen time to push this particular version of the Joker out to his absolute full tent. It was just very limited. I feel like if you got the Joker, which is in my opinion, any comic book universe, DC, Marvel, whatever it will be, the Joker is the biggest known villain, and to sort of, you're going to have the villain but only have so little of the villain. Why are you going to have so little of the villain? Is it to tease us ready for the next film? They're obviously going to have another film featuring Joker and Harley Quinn, judging by the ending of the film. But really, I just felt the whole thing was just going through the villains on here. Boomerang, I didn't think actually done much throughout the entire film except drink beer. Killer Croc, I thought was a disappointment as well. I thought it was played very well in this character, but I'm thinking back to the Killer Croc that I know, again, from the original Batman animated cartoons, and that's where I know a lot of these Batman villains from. So that's where I'm judging everything from, this 20-year-old or 25-year-old cartoon that I watched as a kid, and I've still got on DVD, and I'm watching it on the various download things. Streaming services, I should be calling them. Now, the ending, if you've watched the ending, you'll probably agree with me on this. Did it feel like the same ending as Ghostbusters to you? Because it did to me. Overall, I just felt the whole thing was just rushed. I thought it was rushed. It could have just taken a step back, improved on the little tweaks here, there and everywhere. The premise was good, the idea was good, with Enchantress and things like that, but I think just the whole thing was just rushed to bang it out there just to make a quick buck, and I bet they did make a quick buck as well. So I did do a video on movie goers versus movie critics a while ago, saying how the movie critics were saying Batman vs Superman was terrible, and how the fans were saying that Batman vs Superman was a good film, and I've got to agree with the fans on this one. But if I was to do one for Suicide Squad, I'm going to say, no, I've got to agree with the critics on this one. I thought the film wasn't that particularly too good. And there was a few hardcore fans, because they've all got a soft spot for Jared Leto's Joker. No, I just didn't think it good. I thought Harley was good. I thought the Joker was good, but he just needs more time on the screen. But overall, one thing I've got to give Will Smith, once again, as playing Deadshot, once again, he played Will Smith in a film, again. The one thing I've got to give him credit for, that he didn't blink in that the shooting alley scene. I didn't see him blink. But really, if you do like your your Batman cartoons and whatnot, and Batman on screen, even though Ben Affleck was in as Bruce Wayne and as Batman for a little bit of the film, really, get your hands on this if you really want a good suicide feature. Assault on Arkham. Much better. So that was just my review of the film. Comes out to the general public tomorrow, today being Sunday. So what did you think of the film? Do you agree? If you got any questions about the actual disc, let me know and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Anyway, I'm Adam Paul Morgan, and ta-ra a bit. So do all the subscribey stuff if you want to, but you don't have to. I know people beg, but I don't. Thank you very much. Ta-ra a bit.